I'm pretty sure we're live. Good morning, beloveds. I just read a story, and it was posted by CSL in Reading, I think so. Which scroll back a post, and you can see it. I don't know if you've seen the Buddhist monks walking for peace. If you haven't, look into it, because between the posts about the Buddhist monks and the post about Aloka, the dog that walks with them, the rescue dog that walks with them, it's a phenomenal story. It's a phenomenal story. And it started right here in Texas. But I just saw the most incredible phrase. So I put it at the top. Peace isn't convenient. Compassion isn't easy, but they are worth it. Like, that touches the way, if you've read Emma Curtis Hopkins, I would say that blows across the chords of my soul. That just really, wow, like, it made me cry. We were talking about powerful emotions a couple of days ago. There it is. Peace isn't convenient and compassion isn't easy, but they're worth it. They're worth it. And, maybe I would say that peace isn't always convenient and compassion isn't always easy, because I think it's naturally built into us. Empathy and compassion are naturally built into us. And then we have it like trained out of us or beaten out of us. That's our natural state. Compassion and empathy is, we don't want to see people suffer. And yeah, peace isn't convenient, but it's worth it. So if you haven't looked into the walk for peace, please do. Please do, because it's one of those things that it gives you hope. It does. It does. Because it was going to be one monk, and then it's not. And they, towns have showed up with places to stay and food to eat, and, like they were barefoot when they started, and then the weather happened, and I was grateful to see that they were all in, they all had snow boots on and, good heavy coats on, and like what they need is being provided for them. And that's the way this can work. That is the way this can work. Okay. I'm just the only word I can use is verklempt, because it just describes the how I feel. Okay. But you're not here to watch me get verklempt. You are here for a new design for living. So let's do that. Let's do the housekeeping, and then we'll get on to that. Because the title today is Freedom to Choose. So, and I'm choosing to feel this way because I'm talking about it. All right. That is just a really incredible feeling. So, okay. Hope. It's not fragile. It is not. It picks itself up off the cobblestones with grit in its hair and spits a tooth out and gets up for another cup. That is hope. That is hope. Hope is not fragile. Hope is ready to do what it needs to do. Okay. The housekeeping. I'm trying to do the housekeeping. That's what I'm doing. I'm not used to my nose running. I should cry more often. It definitely helps. Okay. All right. Housekeeping. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact email info@creativelife.org. The web, and that will get you one email a week. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot. So click here now. It means it'll take you right to the information or the person that can help you get it. When I say one email a week, I mean that. It's a real person doing it. He doesn't have time for more than that. It would be just if there's something unusual happens, which we live on the Gulf Coast. It's usually weather. And then it is a blind CC, which means nobody's going to see your email. You won't end up on anybody else's email list because of us. All right, so there's that. I'll mention the social media merely from the standpoint of we do not monetize it. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is go like, subscribe, follow, based on which platform you are on. If you allow notifications, it lets you know when we go live and or upload new videos. And then engage with the individual post by reacting to the post, commenting on the post, sharing the posts. Yeah. And then we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark, depending on the platform. And I'm the running Rev Ryan across all of the platforms that I am on. So, all right, a new design for living. What I have been describing this is the process of science of mind. Jesse's been saying, when you pray for things, the universe doesn't just hand you whatever you prayed for. What it does is it hands you a process to get whatever you want. That's what this is. This was written and published towards the end of Ernest's life. And I think what it was is he just said, okay, you know what? We've talked theory. We've done all of this. Let's go ahead and line out the process. This is how you do science of mind. As I have said before and will say again, we are a religion for government paperwork, but we are not a religion. We are more like a philosophy, a way of life. This tells you how to do it. Okay. So we are currently in chapter 7, Discover Yourself, which, is kind of super important to science mind. You got to know who you are. You got to know who you are to do this. And so that's what he's talking about in chapter 7. And today we are going to do freedom to choose. Because sometimes the only thing in a situation we have is the choice on how we feel about it. And from there, we can go on to make other choices. So, freedom to choose. The well-known philosopher, Nikolai Berdyaev, it's Berdyaev. I've never heard of him, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay. So, Nikolai wrote, God created humanity in its own image and likeness, i.e., made humanity a creator too, calling humanity to free, spontaneous activity, calling humanity to free, spontaneous activity, and not to formal obedience to God's power. Free creativeness is the creature's answer to the great call of its creator. Okay. That is a weird statement. Free creativeness is the creature's answer to the great call of its creator. This would seem to be valid in relation to physical and mental or spiritual law. At all times, we are freely creating the life we live. The ability, consciously and specifically, to better our lives depends on the degree to which we are able to believe in our basic concepts of the nature of life with faith, a faith that rests on both intellectual and emotional conviction. I'm going to pause here just for a minute because I'm reading the Marcus Borg books on the Marcus Borg Reading the Bible Again for the first time on Saturday. Well, I read the chapter 1 and I didn't realize it, but what I found really interesting was the shift in the meaning of faith. Okay. Originally, faith was about the relationship between the person and God. That's what faith was. And now faith has come to mean believing the doctrine, even when the doctrine is pretty ridiculous. And when I say that, because in the Bible, it talks about mountains clapping, right? Mountains don't clap. But metaphorically, mountains clap. So, and I hadn't caught that. And so reading it aloud and actually going through it, like it forces me to pay more attention when I'm doing this aloud, which is one of the reasons why I've really gotten a lot of doing this. But to see that shift in faith, I kind of went, oh, okay. So now faith is no longer about your relationship between you. Now, it still is. But that's not what people mean when they talk about faith. And so now I understand that sometimes when I'm having a conversation with somebody about faith, we may be talking about two different concepts. And now that I'm aware of it, I can account for it. So, and I think, because that's what he just said, a faith that rests on both intellectual and emotional conviction. Well, this is about the relationship between me and the divine, between you and the divine. Faith isn't about believing. Faith is about relationship. Okay? All right, back to Ernest. Everything in our lives is a creative activity of one form or another. Some people create good for themselves, others create bad, while most of us seem to create a little of both. But as we grow in knowledge and conviction, become familiar with the way law works, we are more and more able to swing the creative activity of our thought to the favorable side. So, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why the drumbeat of Science of Mind is consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. The more attention we pay to what is going on around us and what is going on within us, the better choices that we are going to make. For centuries, the comprehension and utilization of electricity were beyond humanity's power. When we finally reached the point of being able to direct its action to a certain degree, they discovered that it could heat and light the home, but that it could also deprive them of their lives. Water may be considered in the same manner. It is necessary to life, but it can also cause a person to lose their life. These are two things which, rightly used, are of benefit, but whose action may be consciously or unconsciously directed to our detriment. A law does not care about the results of its action. It has no conscience. It knows only to act. It is impersonal. We are free to choose the direction of its action. And there you are. Yeah. Yep. I like that he uses, because water and electricity are really, really, really good examples. Because when used correctly, water, well, one, we literally couldn't live without water. Like, we literally could not. You will die of thirst much sooner than you will starve. I think that you can go 3 days without water and much longer without food. But, but too much water, you can ruin your kidneys. You can also drown in too much water. So, and then with electricity, it powers our home and we have the electric chair. These are choices that we have made, So, and we can choose again. And I think that's one of the reasons why Jesse leans back into the choice. To when we don't know what to treat for, we treat that the person knows who they are and that they are a choice. Even if at the moment the only choice we have is how do we feel about a situation. But that right there can be the most powerful choice we make, because once we decide how we feel about a situation, then we can make choices about what we're going to do about the situation. So, and it just kind of dominoes out from there. So the freedom to choose, it's not something to take lightly, but it is the most powerful thing that we have. All right. I'm going to get up off my soapbox now and encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a go dance in the rain day, because apparently that's what we're going to get all day. And we need it. So I'm grateful to see the rain coming. Enjoy the warmer weather while we have it, because it's February. February's weather's always weird. Day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a tell somebody you love them day, a do what you gotta do day, and make sure you take time to rest day, a you got this day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, I get it, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, a brilliant light and a divine spark. I probably have already said spirit in motion, God in action, because I say that without thinking about it now. But it's true. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. And from there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move on into the process of my day. So I'm going to remind you, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved.